My name is Alan Minch, and I believe that the only wall that should be put up is the one to separate church and state. Give to every human being every right that you claim for yourself. Robert Greene Ingersoll.
Inconceivable!
Will you please act like you have more than a two-word vocabulary?
Is there air? You don't know!
And now, a yak.
Yak!
Hey, don't touch that dial. You found Secular Yakking.
I'm Robert.
And I'm Amy.
After years,
No, many years of yakking at each other.
we're here to yak at you.
So sit back and enjoy the yakking.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Hope you had a wonderful week.
For a second there, I didn't think you were going to say anything.
You say that every week, and I say
no,
something every week.
Seriously, you're just kind of like staring.
That's what I do. I want to let the music play to the right point.
Oh, please.
And I hit the same
It's going to
point.
run right off.
I hit the same point every week.
Oh, no, you delayed it.
No, I hit the same point every week.
I'm not hearing
Every
it.
week.
Anyways, move on.
I built the thing. I know where to hit it.
Move on or I'll hurt you.
Fine. First off, I'd like to thank Alan for that wonderful Ingersoll quote.
Yes, that was very nice.
That was Alan, a friend of the show and a fan of the show, apparently.
Uh-huh.
So, really cool guy.
Yes.
And you can get yours in there, too, if you want.
Uh-huh.
By recording one, your favorite Ingersoll quote, and sending it to the show, podcast at secularyakking.com. Or if you don't feel like doing that, you can leave us a voicemail with it on there at 704-802-YAK.
You had to think about it.
That's sad.
That's all right. I had no idea.
Yeah, you barely know we have a voicemail number.
Yeah, definitely. Or email for that matter.
Yeah, well, somebody's got to check that stuff.
Yeah, that's where you come in. Anyways,
where else I come in is Twitter.
that is correct.
Which I've been a little slack on lately. I haven't been twittering as much. I've been busy.
Yeah, like crazy busy.
Yeah. But we do have some new followers, which is cool.
Okie dokie.
We've got Singer Ob,
Mm-hmm.
Stacy, David Koch, who's an actual personal friend.
Uh-huh.
We know him from a while back.
Uh-huh.
Intentional Insights, The Doctor. And this one's fun.
Uh-huh.
It's W.E.B. Do Fuckboy.
Really?
I looked it up.
That's an interesting name.
Yeah, I don't think that's his real name, but interesting nonetheless.
Alrighty then.
And you too can follow us on Twitter. Do you know our Twitter handle?
Yeah.
Of course not.
I don't Twitter.
It's at Secular Yakking. Come on, seriously.
I don't Twitter.
I make everything easy.
I don't do anything. Seriously.
You don't have to do Twitter. You just got to know where it is.
I don't even send emails.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I think I have once in a blue moon, but I don't do emails. I just don't do computer. I look stuff up. I do stuff like that, but I don't really do the whole social media thing at all, actually.
And sometimes I envy you for that.
Thank
there
you.
are some days that I don't want to do social media.
Yeah, I just don't need that in my life. I like things slow and simple.
Do you know what you do need?
Do tell.
You need a Darwin Day event.
Ah, yes, that is coming up.
Yep.
When?
February 12th.
Okay.
So, join us in celebration of Charles Darwin Day, Sunday, February 12th from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. at the Samana Club in Bellevue, Washington.
So, not this Sunday, next Sunday.
Next Sunday, yeah.
Okay.
Learn about evolution of wings and more, games, craft, and activities for the whole family. Come enjoy this casual social gathering to commemorate Charles Darwin and his great scientific contributions. Special guest, Jonathan Tweet, author of Grandmother Fish, the first book to teach evolution to preschoolers.
It's a very good book. I
It is.
really like that book.
Yeah, Jonathan Tweet's an amazing guy.
Yeah.
He really is.
And, of course, this is more for locals.
Obviously.
You know, apologies to those who are way too far to go to that event.
Yeah.
Like countries.
Australia.
Yeah, other
Well, but
countries,
if you
other
can-
states.
If you feel like paying the
Come on,
plane
baby, you
ticket,
can say it. Or maybe not.
I don't know. Just go ahead and show up.
Yeah,
There'll be games and prizes, crafts and activities, music and sing along. Learn about Camp Quest and local secular groups, pizza and cake, but you can bring your own dish to share. Donations accepted to support the Seattle Atheist, who is sponsoring it this year.
Right, and it is a potluck, right?
It is a potluck-ish. Yeah. Apparently, they're having pizza because sometimes potlucks don't potluck as well.
Yeah. Yeah, we do all kinds of potlucks. I like it. You bring a dish, they bring a dish, everybody contributes, you know?
Yeah, the problem is when someone
comes and doesn't bring a
bunch
dish.
of people show up.
Yeah.
Well, it's assumed that roughly 35% of the people will actually bring a dish. That's the assumption.
I always do that. I like potlucks. We used to do it at work years ago.
Yep.
Anyways, let's try some show now.
All right, we'll do some show. I have more about praying coaches, sort of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Remember last year when we covered the praying coach in Bremerton?
Yes.
Okay. And how there was all this controversy about him playing at the 50-yard line after the game.
Praying, not playing.
Praying. I said praying.
No, you didn't. You said playing.
Playing, praying, whatever.
You get it right.
And how the Satanic Temple was going to give an invocation.
Okay. Yeah.
And it was finally taken care of when the coach was suspended and not brought back the next year.
Right.
Well, apparently Washington's Republican lawmakers were not happy with that outcome.
Well, there's a surprise.
And have introduced HB 1602, which would allow coaches to pray after the game by ending the liability the school has immediately after the game or school-sponsored event.
But see, this is where I don't get it. Because the whole reason why they pulled him was because it was breaking the law.
Right.
I mean...
Well, they're trying to change the law.
They'll change the law.
Right.
I swear, they're just like on a free-for-all
so
for everything.
What they've done is that the law it explicitly states that after the last call, so the referees blow the whistle and say that's a game.
Right.
The field then becomes an open forum.
That's just ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay. And it would also impose a $1,000 fine on any school district that would sanction any teacher, staff member, coach, or whatever from using an open public forum.
So they want it after the game, not during the game.
Right, after the game, which is what he was doing last year, was after the game.
Was it always after the game, even initially in the beginning?
Initially it was like a halftime, and then he finally moved it to after the game.
Right.
The problem was he's still in charge of those kids. They haven't released the school from liability of those kids.
Right.
Right. The kids are still under the supervision of the coach until they walk out of that locker room.
That is
dressed
very
in
true.
Their street clothes.
So that means between the time that the ref blows the whistle and the time they go into the locker room, they're still going to have to sit for when he does a prayer or anyone who does it.
Right.
And for those kids who are not raised Christian and raised something else, they have to be told that they have to sit through that and participate in that, and that's total bullshit.
Well, here's where it gets really interesting.
And against their rights.
And the interesting part is the way it's worded.
Okay.
And I kind of like the way it's worded. Right?
Okay.
It applies to all individuals, including school sports coaches, student team players, fans, parents, and other family members, friends, supporters, and others. May safely assemble to talk with other individuals, including praying with one another in other public forums, without fear of prior restraint, discrimination, or censorship based on content of their speech.
So you're looking at it as if they can do that, then like say the Satanic Temple can go in and do it as well.
The words other and content of their speech are very, very important there.
Uh-huh.
That just because it says other, it doesn't say other people related to the school. It doesn't say you have to be invited. It just says others.
Right.
So the Satanic Temple could literally walk out on the field and start a satanic invocation.
I think this is just all ridiculous. They just need to keep that crap, any of it, off the field. Simple.
Right.
I mean, there are times and places for going to doing that kind of crap. And doing it on the damn sports field, I don't think is it. I just don't.
Oh, I agree.
I mean, for anybody.
Well, there is a silver lining in all this.
Okay.
The Judiciary Committee Chair, Lori Jenkins, said it will never even be heard in her committee, which means the bill is DOA.
Well, that I like.
Yeah, it's just more pandering from the right-wing politicians for votes.
Well, that's what I was going to say. They're just trying to throw in everything they can this year. Why it's a free-for-all right now in our whole crazy-ass world right now that's going on in this country. It's like kind of crazy. And you figure every Republican's just going to try and throw in whatever they can to get whatever they can passed while it's nice and nutty.
Yeah. I mean, the beautiful thing is we have enough of Democratic control here in Washington to where
bad.
Don't hit the mic.
Sorry.
To where you threw off my
Your groove?
groove.
Democrats,
yeah, we have enough power here in Washington where this sort of stuff is never going to go over.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's true, but there's a lot of crazy going on lately. It really is.
There is.
I mean, and it's getting worse.
Good evening. Don't be startled, children. I will be filling in as storytime counselor. So sit back, get comfortable. My story begins on a night just like this one.
I really like that intro.
Do you now?
Yeah. It makes sense. He's the brain.
This is a story I like to call Twins in Space.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
You may know that astronaut Scott Kelly recently spent an entire year in orbit aboard the International Space Station.
Yes, I do.
What you may not know is that he is also part of a study on twins at the same time.
Which I am always interested since we have our own.
And the effects of space travel on human DNA.
I know. That's really cool.
Well, Scott obviously has a twin named Mark.
Yeah, I
Identical.
assume that's where
Right.
you're going.
Who
Which I already knew.
Who oddly enough is also an astronaut.
Yeah, I know. Talk about convenient.
I know. And during the year in space, several tests were performed to compare the genetic differences between them. I'm going to let you start reading this stuff.
I know. You are so trippy.
Yeah, I'm tripping.
Yeah, okay. Anyways, get it right.
What they found actually surprised even the experts.
Okay.
In fact, it was the opposite of what they expected.
What do you mean the opposite?
So I got to do a little science here. I'm not a scientist, but I'm going to do a little science.
Oh, this ought to be fun.
Elementary level.
Uh-huh.
Telomeres, the part at the end of each chromosome, which is used to keep the chromosomes from fusing with others from general deterioration, are known to be part of the aging process. So these are the ends of the chromosomes.
Right.
Like the last few letters,
uh-huh.
right?
Yeah, okay.
What happens is, as we get older, these telomeres get shorter.
Okay.
So, which allows for copying errors.
Okay.
Yeah,
right. Which is why you lose your collagen and all that.
It's
kind
called
of stuff.
end replication problem.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's what it does. It allows, which is why we age.
And get old and wrinkly.
I mean, there's a lot more to it than there's just that.
Right.
There's like, wait, I don't have time for it.
Okay. Anyways.
Well, Scott's telomeres of his white blood cells actually lengthened while in space.
Seriously.
They got longer.
I bet that was a huge surprise.
Yeah, it kind of was. I mean, they know that telomeres will lengthen given the right amount of exercise and the right food and all this other stuff. There's a lot that goes into it.
Uh-huh.
And they're thinking it may have had something to do with his increased exercise and lower food intake while in space. Because he exercised every day, because if you don't exercise in space, your muscles atrophy.
Right.
And you'll come back and you'll be like Jell-O.
Right. But what did they say about the whole anti-gravity thing?
Well, they don't know. They're still studying it. These are preliminary results.
Right. They would have to do it again and yet change the factors in that and
maybe
not have him exercises, something too much. I don't know. There's a lot of things you could do to play around to see what actually affected that. Because I'd be very interested to know that.
Well, they quickly shortened back to normal after he got back.
Did they?
So gravity.
That sounds like gravity to me.
Gravity may have had something to do with it. They're not saying that.
I mean, did he change his exercise habits? And
Maybe.
even if he did, even
but they
if
came back really quickly.
I was going to say, even
that's
if
the unexpected
he didn't
part.
change his exercise, he continued doing the same that he did up there, and he's doing it down here. Because of lack of gravity, it would still impact differently.
Yeah,
even doing the same exercise. But that really is interesting.
It is. But most interesting result came when they sequenced the genomes of both twins.
Okay.
They found hundreds of genome mutations between the twins.
Okay.
Yeah, which is not incredibly incredibly abnormal. Twins can, over years, get a lot of copying errors, and they'll copy differently, right, due to natural factors, things like that.
Environment, yeah.
But they also found more than 200,000 RNA molecules expressed differently.
Okay.
So the RNA is what the replicator is. It's like the zipper part. Right?
Oh, okay.
Right. It goes in. It creates all the amino acids and all the other stuff.
Right.
And the fact that they were replicating 200,000 molecules differently out of the millions or whatever. It's not a huge number, but it is significant enough to look at.
Right.
And they are suggesting that maybe a space gene could have been activated while he was in space for so long.
A space gene?
Yeah. Well,
the hell is a space gene?
That's just what they said. They're scientists.
Yeah, uh-huh.
They use science terms like space gene.
I was thinking more like sci-fi term, space gene.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't think it's necessarily a space gene.
Right.
Right. I think it may be some aquatic gene.
Mm.
Because of the similarities between being in water and being in space.
Yeah, the whole weightlessness.
Maybe something like that.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
It's very interesting, though.
It is.
I wonder in the future, having these twins, if they'll be more interested in finding twins that, are shooting for astronauts.
Maybe.
That they could study with, or encouraging. Because you could do a lot of studying with identical twins in that aspect.
You could. Providing they're both doing the same sort of exercise, eating the same kind of... There's a lot of controls that would have to go in there.
All right. Well, even with our twins, it's kind of ironic how they pretty much stay side by side, like weight gain, weight loss, you name it.
Yeah, they do.
Even though they are totally different personalities and different friends and whatnot, they still seem to go on the same track. It's really weird.
It is.
So
twins are very interesting.
Oh, yeah, we have many, many stories that will, blow your mind. They're like, what? Seriously?
Yeah. We may have to get them in here and do a show sometime.
Oh, yeah, they'll just love that.
Yeah, I'll need a new mixer.
Yeah.
Patreons, listen, I need a new mixer so I can get the twins in here to do a show.
But no, we really do have some really interesting tidbits that they've done over the years that are kind of sci-fi-ish, I guess you could call it.
It's just twin weird.
Yeah, twinny. I call it twinny.
Yeah, very twinny.
Has In God We Trust invaded your town? Are you tired of government officials who want to plaster In God We Trust on taxpayer-owned property? Are you afraid because your local sheriff placed an In God We Trust decal on the patrol cars? We are here to help. The original motto project is for those who feel the separation of church and state is an important issue and should be honored regardless of your belief or lack thereof. Theists, non-theists, and all free thinkers are welcome. We need your support to show politicians that diversity exists within our nation, and their promotion of a monotheistic religion and push for theocracy will not be tolerated. Stand up and be heard. Join us at originalmotto.us.
All right, we're back.
Obviously.
I didn't actually
You're
leave.
real quick on that.
I am. I have another good news story.
Okay.
Boy Scouts to allow transgender boys.
It sure took them long enough.
I know. Girl Scouts have been doing it for quite some time.
Yes, they have.
Boy Scouts of America will begin allowing transgender boys to participate in its Boys Only program, effective immediately, the organization announced Monday.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah. In their statement, they said, starting today, we will accept and register youth in the Cub and Boy Scouts program based on gender identity indicated on the application instead of a birth certificate.
All right.
BSA officials considered the fact that an 8-year-old transgender boy was asked to leave his Cub Scout troop in New Jersey, but the national discussion and evolving attitudes around gender identity constituted the primary reason for the change.
Oh, that's
so
what
they caved to pressure.
Yeah.
Which is why we need to keep pressure on these people.
Of course. Now, do they allow gays in the Boy
Yes,
Scouts? They do?
They lifted the ban on gay scouts in 2013.
Oh, they did? Okay.
And gay adult volunteers and staff in 2015.
Oh, okay.
And with a religious exemption.
Oh, really?
So if your scouting group is sponsored by a church, they don't have to accept gay members.
Privilege.
Yeah, well, the Boy Scouts on its own is a religious organization.
I know.
And they don't accept atheists, technically. Because if you don't take the pledge, you can't be a Boy Scout. And the Boy Scout pledge requires you to honor God.
Yeah, well.
Which kind of leaves out atheists.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. As I said earlier, the Girl Scouts has had a non-discrimination policy on sexual orientation and gender identity for several years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just took the boys a lot longer to get on board.
Doesn't it usually?
Always.
Yeah, this is actually really good news. Real progress being made when Boy Scouts can do stuff like this, because they've been dragging their feet on this stuff for years.
Yeah, long time. So I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, finally.
They're keep making little baby steps.
Yeah, baby steps.
Yeah.
You could say cub steps.
Oh, please. That's terrible. It really was.
That was a bad one.
It was really bad.
Fine. Puppy steps.
Oh, shut up. It's not getting any better. It really is not. Okay, it's time for the next one.
Hi, I'm Trav Mamone.
And I'm Morgan Stringer.
Do you like drunken rants, major shade throwing, and semi-funny skits?
Do you often find yourself reading the news and thinking, are you shitting me?
Then check out the Bi-Skeptical Podcast.
Every 2 weeks, we discuss politics, religion, and current events from a skeptical point of view.
You can find us on iTunes, Spreaker, and Stitcher.
Check us out, because in the end, we're all a little bi-curious.
You're not talking to somebody else around here, all right? You know, this is me. You remember me? George Bailey.
That's right. It's time for a Bailey Award. We haven't had one in a while.
I was just going to say, I don't think we've had one in a while.
Yeah, my newsfeed has been clogged up with Potter nominees.
Yeah, because it's really pottery out there right now. So that makes sense.
But I do have to start off with a little bad news to get into the good news.
Okay.
On Friday, January 27th, our fascist-in-chief issued an executive order that essentially banned Muslims from 7 nations from entering the U.S.
Yes.
Even if they already had visas or had been cleared via the refugee process.
Right.
Which
so
is I'm pretty sure everybody is aware of this.
Unless you're living on a deserted island surrounded by nothing but water and no way of getting anything other than a coconut.
Coconut might know. Anyway, he was going to prioritize Christians from those areas seeking refugee status.
Right, of course.
Now, for the good news.
Yeah, okay.
There are going to be a lot of lawsuits around this executive order. In fact, there already have been. Washington State filed a suit on Monday. New York, Massachusetts, and Virginia stated their intent to sue on Tuesday.
Oh, good.
But that's not why we have the Bailey Award.
All right.
While it's great that these states are standing up to religious oppression, because that's what it is.
Oh, yeah.
Someone went one step further and literally put her job on the line to oppose this order.
Uh-huh.
And that would be now former Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates.
Yeah, that's really crappy that had to go that way.
She was fired by her boss, Donald Trump, for telling the Justice Department not to defend his executive order banning entry from people from the 7 Muslim majority countries.
Yeah, it's really crappy that by her not agreeing to something that Trump says, she gets fired for that.
Yeah. The White House released a statement shortly after the firing was made public, and this is just part of it. The acting Attorney General, Sally Yates, has betrayed the Department of Justice by refusing to enforce a legal order designed to protect the citizens of the United States. This order was approved as to form and legality by the Department of Justice Office of Legal Counsel.
Okay. First of all, this was not designed to protect the people, because if it did, those freaking countries that he's doing this ban on would include the 3 that did have ties to 9/11, because that's his whole premise on this, is the fact that he doesn't want another 9/11 kind of terrorist thing going down here. And yet the 3 countries that were involved, the terrorists were the countries that they came from, not one of those are on his little ban list. So don't give me that bullshit that he's doing it for the safety of the people. Bullshit. He is so full of crap, it's not even funny.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, and I wanted to talk about something else in there. Uh-huh. That's the word betrayal.
Uh-huh.
So never in the history that I'm aware of has a president fired someone and said it was betrayal.
Uh-huh.
Right? That's the words of a dictator.
He already is that.
Yeah, that's the words of a fascist.
I mean, look what he's doing. Look how he's setting everything up. It's exactly what he is. And that's what he's doing.
Yeah, and that's what really bothered me about that statement they released.
And like we said, I was talking to you about earlier, when it comes to Trump, Trump is all about himself. That's all he cares about. end of the line. It's him, himself, and him.
Yeah.
So what he is doing is he is just setting up this country to benefit himself for when he's no longer a president.
Yeah, pretty much.
Whether that's in 4 or 8, God.
6 months.
Or that. It's so that everything will go down the way he needs it to be to profit for himself.
Right.
Because, I remember I lived in Florida and my uncle worked for him. And so nothing has changed. He has always been, Trump, about himself.
Oh, I know.
That literally is it. He doesn't care.
This isn't about Trump.
I know.
This is about Miss Yates.
Who didn't bow down to him and didn't become a yes man.
Yes, that is true. Now, I have some audio to play.
Oh, okay.
From her confirmation hearing in 2015.
Okay.
You have to watch out because people will be asking you to do things you just need to say no about. Do you think the Attorney General has a responsibility to say no to the president if he asks for something that's improper? A lot of people have defended the Lynch nomination, for example, by saying, well, he appoints somebody who's going to execute his views. What's wrong with that? But if the views the president wants to execute are unlawful, should the Attorney General or the Deputy Attorney General say no?
Senator, I believe that the Attorney General or the Deputy Attorney General has an obligation to follow the law and the Constitution and to give their independent legal advice to the president.
So there you have it.
I like that.
In 2015, she already said that she was going to do what she did. She defended the Constitution, right? She didn't defend the fascist in chief.
Right. She stuck with the law, the Constitution, which is what her job is.
Right.
That's all she is. I mean, that's it. She's sticking with what her job requires, and yet she gets canned for it.
Yeah. If you don't recognize the other voice in that clip, that was Senator Jeff Sessions, who is currently in line for Attorney General for the job she was doing.
Uh-huh.
We can only hope that if he was so concerned about it back in 2015, he'll be concerned about it now.
Don't hold your breath because
his questions were specifically on that point.
Right.
Were specifically about immigration.
Oh, uh-huh.
Right? And would she stand up for the Constitution for Obama's immigration policies?
If Obama didn't
Trump.
say what he should.
Right.
Would she still stand up? And now the same exact thing is happening right now, and she did stand up like she said she would and like she's supposed to.
Yeah.
And yet she gets fired for it.
So, and here's why she gets the Bailey Award, because standing up for rights is a commendable thing, right?
Right.
But the Bailey Award's kind of special.
Right.
Right. She had to know this would cost her her job.
Yes.
A career of 27 years in the Department of Justice.
I still feel like, to me, that somehow we fell asleep, and while we were asleep, we were picked up, placed in another country, and we woke up here. And you're like, how the hell did we get here?
Yeah, I know.
Because it's really not feeling like America to me at all.
It's not.
It's really starting to feel
1930s
like
Italy.
Another country. It's bizarre.
Yeah, it's 1930s Italy.
It's like there's no control. It's a free for all. I mean, I don't get it.
So in the letter that she wrote to the Justice Department, she said this: "At present, I am not convinced that the defense of the executive order is consistent with these responsibilities, nor am I convinced that the executive order is lawful."
Right.
Yeah. And that is where she shows she is willing to live by her oath and defend the Constitution.
Right, as she's supposed to do. Well, and it's like I said, she's not another yes man.
I know.
Because apparently there's quite a bit in there that have become yes men that, you wouldn't have thought would be.
Yeah, there's a bunch, and there's more on the way.
Besides who Trump is placing in the positions he's placing, the ones that were already there have become yes men.
Well, yeah, because they have to do it for their job. I somewhat understand it, but he's doing things that are so unlawful and immoral and unconstitutional.
That's a big thing. Well, I hear constantly how they're talking about how it's unprecedented how he's behaving. They've never seen anything like it. Yeah, you know what I'm trying to say.
Well, that's funny because
I was
Trump
thinking
actually,
of it when I said that, actually.
Trump actually was talking about something being unprecedented, and he said unprecedented, or the
vice versa.
Or vice versa. I don't remember what it was, but it was the same kind of thing. And
I was
like,
thinking the same thing when I said that.
Unprecedented.
But yeah, I mean, they've never seen anything like it. He's basically breaking the American system.
Yeah.
Right now, and he's got a lot of countries kind of freaking out about it as well.
Yeah. Well, Miss Yates, not only are you a Bailey Award winner, you're a goddamn American hero.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome to stand up to the crazy going on right now.
We need more government officials willing to stand up to the rise of fascism. Let's hope she isn't just one.
Come on, baby, you can do it.
Hope she is just one of the first of many more to follow.
Yeah, hopefully this will start a train of people being able to do it.
I really do.
Because I'm really concerned at how many are crumbling and not always doing it. I mean, I get that it all depends on personal circumstances, so I do get it.
I do get it.
But at the same time, it's really hard to just sit back and watch everything going down the way it's going down, because my goodness, what does the future hold?
I know.
I mean, truly.
Anyway, that's all the yakking I got.
I'm pretty exhausted.
We always like to hear your feedback, so leave us a voicemail at 704-802-YAK or an email at podcast@secularyakking.com.
More input.
All comments are welcome. We like to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly. You also can find us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Google+.
If you like our show, head over to your podcast directory of choice and leave us a 5-star review. If you really like the show, support the show on our Patreon page.
I'd buy that for $1.
And we'll be back next week with more yakking to please your eardrums.
Bye-bye, boys.
Have fun storming the castle.
Think it'll work?
It would take a miracle.
Goodbye.